Coming up on show 884, the Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo is spied testing, and holy moly, it's a looker. Plus, Bill Gates says, Elon, you've got it wrong. Why Russia's Putin is going electric with his own personal fleet, and why Tesla owners are banding together to buy their own trash cans. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Wherever you're listening in the world, welcome to EV News Daily, start of the week, Monday 7th of September. Big week this week. Lucid's unveil of the Air is going to be on Wednesday, so we're counting down to that. In the meantime, it's Martin here. I go through every EV story, so you don't have to. I try and save you time with that as well, along with the team at myev.com. If you're in the US, check out MyEV, and you can check out the marketplace that they've built, all about cars with plug sockets on. So if you're buying or selling or learning, check out myev.com. Let's talk about why, if you want to carry lots of stuff, you should be buying an estate car / wagon, whatever you call it, / shooting brake, and not an SUV, because if you want to carry some stuff in your car but still get an experience of driving a car, please drive an estate car / wagon. But I know that this plea is falling on deaf ears, because it seems like these days everybody just wants to buy an SUV / crossover. I've had one estate in my life that I've owned as my own car. That was a Skoda Octavia VRS. Man, that was a great car. And I can't wait for the next estate car that I buy. So practical. Great for weekends away, camping, head to the beach, throw your stuff in there. Now that we're a family, as of last year when our little fella arrived, we just need so much more stuff in our life. And I just know we're going to end up getting an SUV at some point. And I wish that my wife would bend and let us buy an estate car. You see, Porsche tend to agree, because Porsche are spending their time and money developing a ridiculously fast estate car on the Nürburgring. It's the future of performance wagons everywhere, and it's called the Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo. It's an impressive machine that it can take all of your ski gear and silently take on the Nürburgring. It's in its final phases of testing, and there's barely any camo on these photos that we've seen today. The Taycan Cross Turismo, hopefully the first of many future iterations of the Porsche Taycan, says Motor1.com. The Cross Turismo is almost production ready, based on a spy video that we've been looking at. It's an impressive machine in a world that, let's face it, is losing wagons at an alarming rate. It's great to see a new addition on the horizon. I think it's a problem in the US more than many other parts of the world. I gather in the US, like the amount of wagons that you can actually buy is very few. Here, plenty of estate cars, but really not many estate EVs. Now, the only two that I know about is this one, the Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo, technically an estate car, and then there's the MG5, which is online now to either put a deposit or maybe buy, but it doesn't arrive until the end of the year. But that's crazy, right? In EV world, there's only one estate car that you can buy right now. Otherwise, if you want an SUV, I mean, you've got plenty. You've got Audi e-trons and Mercedes-Benz EQCs and Tesla Model X's. But if you want to carry a lot of gear but not be sitting up 12 feet high in the sky, which I don't particularly want to be, I want to drive a proper car, then you want an estate car. Let's hope there's many more of these to come. I know it's an unpopular type of car. It probably is just me, but Porsche developing the Cross Turismo is so cool. I'll pop a link to that spy video in the show notes if you want to have a look for yourself. All right, so moving on, and the second generation Porsche Panamera just got a midlife refresh to ensure it remains competitive until the end of its life, along with the turbo becoming the Turbo S to get more horsepower. There's now hybrid added, the 4S e-hybrid, and a more powerful 4S e-hybrid coming soon as well. There's also a fine line separating the plug-in hybrid Panameras from the all-new electric Taycan. If you're looking at them from the outside, you would say, not wildly different. Interestingly, this line may vanish in the not-so-distant future. Speaking to Australia's Go Auto, Porsche product line VP, Dr. Thomas Fremuth, admitted a full-electric Panamera is being seriously considered, says carbuzz.com today. Well, the early success of the Taycan has proven customers are more than ready for all-electric Porsches. In 2022, there's a new electric Macan, which will be pure electric as well. Porsche having to up their production rates, having to borrow staff from Audi just to make more Taycans. A quote here from Porsche, they say, we have to think where are the markets going, and we have to follow what's happening with our Taycan, our smaller limousine in terms of battery electric vehicles, and then we'll see in the future what's happening. We don't see a big overlap between the Taycan and the Panamera. Panamera is a luxury sedan and a sports car and a big car with lots of roominess and interior space. When you see the Taycan, it's vastly a different car. We don't see overlap between the customer perspective of the Panamera and the Taycan. I don't know. I'm not massively familiar with the Panamera. It must be a big car because I'm familiar with the Taycan, and that's a pretty big car, okay? So it's not the biggest, but still, I need to go and, I don't know, drive past the Porsche dealership and have a look at the Panamera and just see how big that is. But clearly, there'll be an electric one of those at some point, and Porsche see them as two very different cars. Let's talk about how you can charge your EV on clean, green power. If you live in the utility districts of Central, Hudson, Gas and Electric, and Orange and Rockland, you have a new option to charge your EV. Those utilities have partnered with Uplight and Enel, who, or as my Italian colleagues say, as an Italian company, Enel. Who knew? To get more smart EV chargers into people's homes and help them charge on 100% clean, green power, says the website Clean Technica. Well, customers in this new pilot program get a rebate, $450 rebate when you purchase a connected Wi-Fi enabled EV charging station from Juicebox, and you enroll the charger on their smart charge program, and then customers can check on their app the charging patterns and customize them through the platform, which includes an app to charge when your grid is most clean. It automatically charges the vehicle during the times of the day of cleanest, and I imagine by clean they're talking about least CO2 emissions, of power generation, decreasing the amount of greenhouse gas emissions. And so there's a few of these around the world actually that do something similar with connected chargers, but a brilliant idea for those that don't mind if their car charges at midnight or 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, but just want to be as green as possible. So Bill Gates is next, and he disagrees with Elon Musk. He says you can't build a semi-truck with batteries. It won't work. You should use biofuels. Bill Gates' recent post about EVs contained a number of interesting insights about his views on electrification, while the Microsoft co-founder noted that EVs, well, they do present an ideal solution for short-haul travel. He argued that the battery electric vehicles will never be a solution for long-distance, heavy-hauling 18-wheelers, says the website Teslarati. And this makes vehicles like the Semi inherently flawed. Bill Gates explained in his post that EVs don't work as long-haul vehicles because batteries are big and they're heavy. According to Bill Gates, who knows a thing or two about critical thinking, I imagine, he says he's thought through this inherent problem, that to add more range, you add more batteries, and that adds more weight, which means you need more range, more batteries, more weights, more... Okay, you get the idea. Even if electricity is drawn from zero carbon sources with innovations in battery technology, there are things that batteries aren't best at, he says. Bill Gates says the biofuels today are far different from biofuels of the past, like ethanol. He added that some biofuels can be drawn from plants that aren't being grown for food, and some could be used in existing engines without any modification. However, challenges remain for the rollout of those biofuels for long-haul travel. Here's his quote. "The problem is that batteries are big and heavy," says Bill Gates. "The more weight you're trying to move, the more batteries you need to power the vehicle. But the more batteries you use, the more weight you add and the more power you need. Even with big breakthroughs in battery technology, electric vehicles will probably be never a practical solution for things like 18-wheelers and cargo ships and passenger jets. Electricity works when you need to cover short distances, but we need a different solution for heavy, long-haul vehicles." End quote. So there you go. I'll pop a link to Teslarati in the show notes if you would like to read more. Hey, by the way, welcome to anyone that's listening to the podcast today after hearing myself talking to Brian McCullough on the Tech Meme Ride Home podcast on Saturday. Now, Brian does for the world of tech what I hope, well, he does it far better than what I do for the EV world. 15, 20 minutes a day, and it's like a TLDR service of everything you need to know about the world of technology. You don't have to be in Silicon Valley to read Tech Meme and listen to the Tech Meme Ride Home podcast. If you want to stay in touch without spending hours of sifting through tweets and blogs, you need Brian's podcast. And he invited me on at the weekend on Saturday to talk all things EV. We did talk Tesla. There's plenty of Tesla experts out there. But, you know, I do try and keep it in check on this podcast and cover the whole market globally. And that's what Brian wanted from the interview. So I caught up with him for like 40 minutes. If you want to hear that interview, you can download it right now. So I know that you listen to this podcast every day and you're sick of my voice. If you want to subject yourself to another 40 minutes of the Tech Meme Ride Home podcast, please do subscribe. Go to your podcast app, Apple, iTunes, and Google, Spotify. Just search in anywhere you get podcasts from Ride Home and you'll find the Tech Meme Ride Home podcast. Subscribe and then you'll get it every single day. It's always at about 5 o'clock Eastern for your, ride home. So go and subscribe and check it out. Listen to the interview from Saturday, which was me and Brian, and send me your feedback on that either on socials or email. It's hello@evnewsdaily.com is my address, and let me know what you thought of that. I'd love to know honestly, your opinion. Like, did we cover everything off that we had to? And, let me know what you think. Okay, let's move on and let's talk about Russia and Vladimir Putin. Now, he is modernizing his fleet of presidential vehicles. But what about the presidential motorbike? Well, that's going electric as well. And he's choosing a newly developed range of vehicles under the AURUS label. It seems that even Vlad cannot deny the high quality and technology of electric vehicles because he seems to prefer them, and so he's changing the presidential fleet to be EV. His choice of electric ESCORT motorcycle when he's on a journey somewhere will be these electric motorbikes. Perhaps Russia's advancements in cleaner technology are going to move forward. The website MotoStation reported on this and says, what can be said about these new bikes is that they are purely electric. The Russian president obviously has great importance for his fleet of vehicles and the Russian style of moving around important political figures. But switching his fleet to electricity with these escort bikes is quite surprising, they say. Is it something to do about restoring his image? The country, they say, is committed to reducing oil production, currently one of the world's leaders in oil and gas production. I'll pop a link in the show notes if you want to read more about that story. Okay, let's talk about when Tesla owners take things into their own hands and then into the bin. Tesla owners have banded together through an owners club in California to put rubbish bins at Superchargers to keep the areas clean and tidy. Who on earth is leaving so much litter around that it took a owners group to get together to fund these things? Well, according to Electrek, the website, they say that at Tesla supercharging stations, there's often no trash cans, as the owner of the site and Tesla aren't clear on whose responsibility it is to keep the site clean. And so a Tesla owners club in California have installed their own bins, and the trash cans at the local supercharger station have a QR code that you can scan and let the club know that if it's full, needs emptying, and if they want to help out as well. I must admit, I've not really seen a big problem over here, but I have seen pictures on social media of people taking pictures of certain Tesla supercharging stations, and it's literally like someone has just, tipped a bin out. Like, why would you... Like, if you go and charge your car for 20 minutes, half an hour, you go get a snack, a burger or something, or a drink, why on earth wouldn't you just put it back inside your car if you can't find the bin? It is so strange. That, my friends, is human nature. Not you, not me, but it takes all sorts, and those people are out there. I will resist calling them scumbags, but with what we need to be doing to clean up things and the harm that litter can do to nature and animals that don't know what these things are. Sometimes it's plastic ring pulls or packaging or things they think they can eat as well. Just come on, take a look at yourself, people, when it comes to owners clubs having to actually put bins in themselves? How bad was the problem? I'll pop a link to Electrek in the show notes if you want to read more. Let's talk about the Model 3. Tesla Model 3 is bucking the trend of EVs depreciating rapidly. On average, a new car will depreciate about 40% after about the first 3 years. It's why generally I've never bought new cars until the one that we own at the moment. We've always bought used cars, sometimes from the car auctions as well, but always used cars. I'm never going to be the person that takes that big hit in depreciation. But why did I buy a brand new car? And I'm not flash, I don't make a lot of money. Why did I buy a brand new car a year ago? Because I could see what the EV market was doing here in the UK. Now, this is a survey to do with the US market. Just to put it in comparison, trucks go down about 34%. And when I say trucks, of course, I mean, the US interpretation of the word truck, not semi-trucks that's what we call trucks, is what you see with 18 wheels delivering stuff, but trucks as in your Ford F-150s. So about 35% they go down in first 3 years. But EVs in the States go down 52%. Now that seems crazy. When you evaluate values of EVs coming off a lease, they lose half their value, says Car and Driver. The outlier, though, is the Model 3. The Tesla Model 3, when you compare it to either other EVs or, in fact, other vehicles after 3 years, is only worth 10% less when they come off lease after 3 years than when they were new. Of course, there's not that many. When was the Model 3 program started? 2.5 years ago? 3 years ago? Blimey. So as those cars are maybe more. What are we on now? Okay, September 2020. Yeah, okay, so a bit longer. Now, aside from the low depreciation rate, there aren't that many on the used market, which is keeping the values high. Here, by the way, the EV market is different. We're not seeing the depreciation yet. Now, August did. Actually, August saw the biggest fall in used EV values in years over that 1 month. Now, there's COVID and there's things, but also supply and demand. As more EVs hit the market, finally EVs become more affordable. Now, I've told the story, once or 1,000 times. My first EV that I bought, I actually made money on that. And I didn't buy it to make money on, but I just saw it for sale at a really good price, knowing that the dealer had underpriced it. So bit their hand off and then sold it a year later to another dealer, actually, who, of course, is then going to clean it up and tidy it up and do all the work, make it fit for them to sell on because they only sell really nice cars. And they've still got to make their margin and their money, and they did on the car. So I was just lucky that I bought this car. They just priced it wrong when I bought it, and it was just over a year old when I got it. This dealer didn't understand electric cars, and so I got it myself a bit of a bargain. And the car that I bought last year, I don't imagine it's gone down a huge amount because those battery lease Zoes are still really, really in high demand. Whereas in the US, EVs are falling off a bit of a cliff in terms of used car values. Of course, there is the $7,500 federal tax credit as well. Here again, Tesla stands out. The company's now sold so many EVs, the full tax credits no longer apply. Over-the-air software updates are something that keeps a Tesla pretty current. And even though you and I know that because Tesla are constantly making their cars better, they don't just have to wait for a new model year in every, not even every year, but sometimes every couple of years or 3 years. They change the way they make their cars daily, weekly, monthly, right? And so the cars that were coming off the production line earlier this year are now not as good as the ones they're currently making because they're a new company, they're a startup, they're constantly learning. And so although the cars do get better, I guess from the driver's point of view with software updates, even your car gets better when you get in, you see it's connected to Wi-Fi outside your house overnight, and actually, the car's got better. I'll pop a link to Car and Driver in the show notes if you want to read more. Finally, Skoda has cancelled the Citigo while VW is stopping orders of the E-Up following the combustion Citigo taken off shelves last year. Now the electric Citigo IV will follow. VW has imposed a temporary order stop for the E-Up in Germany. In the UK, the E-Up is still configurable, says ElecDrive, but the order stop for VW's E-Up in Germany is meant to be temporary, whereas the Skoda Citigo IV, or Citigo EIV, the other one of those little triplets, tiny little city cars, has been discontinued here in the UK, far beyond Germany. The electric car was pretty popular here, but the sales and marketing director, Alan Favey, said, and I quote, "Citigo is gone." Well, that's your show for today. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Any new listeners that heard over the weekend on Technique Ride Home podcast, thank you very much for your nice comments over the weekend as well. And if you're choosing to subscribe to this show, this is what we do every single day. We keep you up to date with the world of EVs. Well, there are 883 previous shows in the archive. Wherever you get your podcasts from, you can download those. The blog is evnewsdaily.com. The Patreon partners who keep us going are Phil Roberts of Electric Future, Brad Crosby, Avid Technology, Porsche of the Village in Cincinnati, Audi of Cincinnati East, Volvo Cars of Cincinnati East, NationalCarCharging.com, and AlohaCharge.com, and Derek Riley from the EV Review Ireland YouTube channel. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you for Tuesday's edition tomorrow. And remember, there's no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.